Our foster care system is shattered. And this podcast is about how we as a community can come together to bring about change. Change in the system and changing the lives of children in foster care. Hi, my name is Rob Shear. I'm the founder of a national charity called Comfort Cases. I'm an advocate for children in foster care. I'm a public speaker. I'm an author of A Forever Family. But most important, I'm a dad to 5 of the most amazing kids. Welcome to the Fostering Change podcast. Hi, everybody. It's Rob Shear, the founder of Comfort Cases and the host of Fostering Change. Wow, it's so hard to believe that we are starting our second season of Fostering Change. First thing I want to do is I want to thank all of our guests that we had last year. You really did exactly what we've been trying to do, which is educate our community. You know, all the time I say that our community is not our zip code, but it is our human race. And the fact that we are going to make change, I believe that that is done by doing what we do at Fostering Change every single week. And that's to tell our story. To tell our story. Each and every one of us have a story to tell. And that is exactly why we started this podcast. You know, your story could be about foster care. It could be about adoption. It could be about how you are making an impact within your community. This season, I am so excited. I'm excited for many things, but one, that we're now on video. You know, I'm going to have to get used to this video part because sitting up straight and always making sure I smile. And most people know I do always try to walk around with a smile. But you know, today is the very first start of season 2. And you know, when I started to think about how we were going to kick off season 2, the first person that came into my mind was Barrie Carr. You all see on Facebook and all of our social media platforms that I talk about Barrie quite often. You know, Barrie has been with our organization since almost the beginning. I remember when she first reached out and her son was actually getting ready to have his bar mitzvah, and he had chosen comfort cases to do his project. You know, Barrie and her family had become really big supporters, and she had become a very dedicated volunteer. And so as the charity grew and we all of a sudden had to start putting people into positions. Now, mind you, we are a 96% volunteer ran charity. 96%. You don't even see that nowadays, but we have been that way from the very beginning. But it was time to have a community engagement director. See, a community engagement director is making sure that throughout our country that they're engaging our community to be part of our mission. You know, our mission that is to bring dignity and hope to our youth that are in foster care. So when that position opened up, there was nobody else that I could think about that could fill those shoes. And that was my friend, Barrie Carr. And today, I am so excited to welcome her to the very first episode of season 2 of Fostering Change. Now, you're all going to ask, why am I having Barrie here? Well, because I thought it would be really good for us to have a conversation. You know, I love having conversations, and there's nobody that knows me better than Barrie. So, Barrie, welcome to Fostering Change.
I'm honored to be on the podcast. I'm honored to be on this side of the camera. I'm usually on the other side of the camera, photographing Rob and putting him on Facebook and doing those live videos that everybody loves so much. But this is a great honor, so thank you.
You know, Barrie, I am the lucky one. You know, Barrie, I want to start out with asking some questions. You know, normally people ask me the questions, and, you know, and I think I would like to ask some questions for you because I really want people to take away from this very first episode of how important it is that we have the Fostering Change podcast. You know, it doesn't only lift up Comfort Cases, but it lifts up so many other organizations throughout our country and throughout the world. So, Barrie, can you give me a little job description that you have?
So my job here at Comfort Cases is not only to advocate for children in the foster care system, but to engage the community to understand what we do, why we do it, and what the importance of what we do. I work with schools, I work with synagogues, I work with churches, I work with community events, bringing everybody together. My most favorite thing is to work with the youth. I love kids helping kids. There's nothing greater to see a child helping another child. It's just such a relevant service project for everybody.
Barry, I agree 100% with you on that. I say this quite often, and you've heard me say this. Empathy is something that we must teach. It is something that we must teach. And in today's society, it needs to be taught more than you can ever imagine. Barry, I am so, so excited that we are going into our 8th year at Comfort Cases. Our 8th year. We have delivered over 120,000 cases to all 50 states, DC, and Puerto Rico. And I heard that this year, our goal at Comfort Cases is to ship out 25,000 cases and 18,000 Comfort XLs. Do you think we can do it?
I know we can do it. Right? I know we can do it. We have the help of so many people to help us achieve that goal. Absolutely.
And Barry, that brings us right into the thing of helping to achieve the goal. That is something that I've always felt that if we educate our community, they will give. And they have shown that throughout our charity at Comfort Cases. I think it's really important that our listeners understand that this charity has grown because of social media. It has grown because people have shared our story. And so that's what we really want people to do here, Barry, is we want people to share this podcast. We really want people to share the podcast and give us reviews. Guys, I have to tell you something funny. So Barry gives me reviews all the time. All the time. And I love it. By the way, I give her some reviews as well. And normally they're always great. Barry, I have another question. You're a mom of 3 amazing boys, and your husband actually is one of our delegates here in our state. You could actually be doing anything that you wanted to do with your life. Why did you decide to give up teaching? Which, by the way, everybody, Barry was actually teaching prior to coming here to do what you do now. And I know that you work 7 days a week. So explain to me and our listeners why you feel so dedicated for this mission.
So I was adopted as an infant, and I was one of the lucky ones. And my brother was also adopted as an infant. And I found my forever family very young. I never had to search for it. It was brought to me, and it fulfilled my heart in ways that I could never express. But what I can do is give back and fulfill other people's dreams. And from the first moment that I walked into Comfort Cases and I saw all those, I will never forget this moment. I saw all those cases packed on the shelves that we have. And it's a very less than more sort of operation we have here. We keep it very simple. And I looked at those cases, and this feeling came over me where I thought to myself, and any one of those cases could have been for me. It could have been delivered for me. So I vowed that I would make sure that any child, any youth that was entering the foster care system would receive. I would be part of the mission that was responsible for them receiving a comfort case.
Wow. You know what, Barry? That exactly tells you exactly what I'm telling the listeners. We all have a story. We all have a story, and we have no idea how our story can impact someone else's life. I hope our listeners understand that we want to have amazing guests who have amazing stories. And by the way, some of you think that your story is not amazing, but I'm here to tell you it is amazing. I would love for you all, if you're interested in being a guest, or even if you think of someone who would be a great guest on Fostering Change podcast, that they would email us at fosteringchange@comfortcases.org. Again, that's fosteringchange@comfortcases.org. Barry, for me, my story has been such a rocky road. As a kid who was homeless, as a kid who wasn't supposed to amount to anything. Yesterday, I was reading an article, and it really hit me hard when I had read that almost 80% of our prison inmates, Barry, are actually kids who were in foster care, adult or not an adult. They were in foster care. Could you imagine if each one of them was not given a trash bag, but was given some hope, given a comfort case, that they were able to listen to podcasts that showed people who actually beat the system? See, the system does exactly what the system is supposed to do, which is to hold us down. But these people that have broke that mold, I'm so excited that we're going to have them on this season. Barry, you get to hear a lot of the stories that I get to hear, and you actually have been able to go and see kids receive our cases. I ask this quite often. How do you think those kids feel?
I know how those kids feel because not only do I see their body language when they accept a case or understand that they don't feel alone anymore, and that is such a huge emotion for anybody. All any of us want is to be part of something, to be accepted. And we at Comfort Cases, I know we deliver this to people. This
Yeah. You're so right, Barry. I mean, each and every one of us, what we want is to be loved,
yeah.
to be valued, to know that we're not disposable or invisible. At Fostering Change, that's exactly what we're trying to get the message out. There's so many opportunities with our podcast. Again, as I've said, and I'll say this quite often throughout our season, is we want you to share it. We want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want you to make sure on whatever platform that you decide to listen to us, whether it's Apple or Google or Stitcher, and there's so many of them I do not even know, that you make sure to leave a review, that you make sure that you share it with other people, and that you also email us at fosteringchange@comfortcases.org and ask your question. You've heard me say this quite often. The only dumb question is the question you didn't ask. The question you didn't ask. I always say at our dinner table, and Barry, I know that you do this quite often at your families as well, is I don't normally ask my children, how was their day? I ask them, what questions did you ask the teacher? Because I know that if you ask questions, you're engaged, that you want to know. And it's something that we do quite often here at our center is we love when people come in and they ask a lot of questions. Barry, I'm going to flip this up a little bit and I want to talk about a little bit about sponsorships. So many times we know as a nonprofit, every single day we spend the day trying to figure out how can we afford to buy the next toothbrush? How can we afford to get the next stuffy? How can we afford to get those brand new pajamas with a tag on it? And a lot of that comes because of our donors throughout the country. And by the way, everybody, we track this. Not only have we received donations from every state, we have received donations from every continent. Barry, those penguins in Antarctica haven't gotten it down right, but we have gotten others. Is that right?
It's so true. So true.
Yeah, I know. But guess what? That's what we need at Fostering Change. We need sponsors. We need people to make sure that this podcast continues on and on and on. And how do you do that? Become a sponsor. It's really, really easy. First, you just email us at fosteringchange@comfortcases.org and we'll send you a sponsor package. We'll be able to not only be on our website, but we'll definitely make sure that we mention the support that you're giving, because we say this often. People and companies that help nonprofits to lift them up, I want to deal with those companies. When I go and I'm going to buy something, or I'm going to call up a company to, whether it's to buy a house or refinance my home, or whether it's to go and get my tires fixed, or even whether it's to go to a local store, I really want to investigate whether or not they are supporting and giving back to our community. What about you, Barry? Do you do that often?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's important to me and my family to be part of people that are doing good, and people that are doing good are helping others. It's so simple. It's a simple recipe. But if we all do it, we're all going to get it done together. We're all going to ultimately reach that goal.
You better believe it. And that's where we come back to being a good human. Being a good human. I never in a million years, as somebody who was an executive and I was in that corporate world for over 27 years, I really didn't think about that whole being a good human thing. For many, many years, I will talk very open about this throughout our season, is that there was so much of me as a kid from this system who had not dealt all the way with my trauma. And, then all of a sudden, these kids here on my over my shoulder, my beautiful, beautiful children walked into my life. And they really made me realize that being a good human is what it's all about. Leaving a legacy that we know that our children will be proud of is what it's all about. And it's something that we try to do every single day at Comfort Cases. And we hope that we do with our podcast, Fostering Change. Barry, if you were the first time listener to our podcast, Fostering Change, I'd like to ask a really quick question. What kind of information would you hope to learn?
If I was listening for the first time, I would want to know how I can help. Where can I get the information to help? We're in this very strange time right now of social distancing, but yet, as a mother of three children who live in the suburbs and live in, a community where, social change and social justice is so big, I want to engage my children to help. So I would want to know, what can I do? My kids aren't in school right now. My kids, we're not going to a synagogue right now. We're not engaging in public events. So how can I help?
Yeah, I love that. And by the way, we're going to let you know how you can help. Every single episode, we'll make sure to let you know what is your takeaway. The fact that you all, each and every one of our listeners, and all the listeners that you're going to share this podcast with, we're going to show you how you can help. Not each and every one of us have our heart in foster care. I wish we did. I wish that each and every one would understand that these kids don't belong to me. They don't belong to you, but they belong to us. But what I say all the time is each and every one of us have the opportunity to be doers, to be doers. It's what makes the world go round. Understanding how can you help lift your community. And that's exactly, Barry, what we're going to share. Small things such as, I say this quite often, for some reason as humans, we go to hotels and we, take all of those free shampoo and lotions and conditioners and bar soap and we bring them home and put them in a drawer. I know I've done it. Barry, I know you've done it. And I will tell you, you can donate those to Comfort Cases. I have watched Barry come into our center with boxes of them because people leave them on her front step because she is known as the Comfort Case lady within her town. Barry, as we start to end this podcast today, I really want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for all the dedication that you have done for so many kids who are in our system. I want to say thank you to every single one of our volunteers who come into our center, whether it's to stuff an envelope, whether it's to pack a comfort case, whether it's to hang a picture. I want to say thank you for all of our listeners who have listened to this podcast. And by the way, we have been voted one of the top 10 podcasts in foster care. And that did not happen because you all want to hear my voice. It happened because you, all of you, see, that's what this is all about. I know that if I lift you all up, I will stand taller. And if you lift me up, you will be taller. And that's what I hope we get out of fostering change. I hope that we get out of the fact that we all can come together as one community, that we all can understand that we can be part of the change. Our foster care system is shattered. It is not broken, it is shattered. When we see 438,000 children who are floundering in a system that is not doing what we truly need them to do, which is give them support, love, and to make them know that they are part of our community. Barry, I know that my 5 kids are going to graduate from high school, and we actually have our oldest son, Alex, in college. But I also know the number of kids throughout our system who don't have that opportunity. I know, Barrie, that you just recently took your oldest son to college. I know that that was a time for you and your family because your son was actually leaving the nest. Can you just imagine what a child in the system could feel who doesn't have that net? And I hope that through this podcast and through our organization at comfortcases.org, that each and every one of you know that you can help be part of the change, to change the path of a child. And all we're asking you to do is listen, listen, leave a review, share this podcast, share it like you have never shared it before, and then email us at fosteringchange@comfortcases.org. You know, this has been an amazing experience for all of us. And I, again, can never thank all of our guests that have been on our show. But I am so excited, Barrie, for the guests that we have coming on season 2.
It's an amazing lineup.
It is. And you have actually helped book some of those guests. So, we've been reading a lot of books, huh, my friend?
Yes, we have.
We have. And by the way, we're going to be uplifting those people so you can read their books as well, as you can follow them on social media, as you can be a part of the change. So, Barrie, I'm going to start giving you a couple of the last words. I want to say today is the day of change. It is season 2 of Fostering Change podcast. I am so absolutely honored that you're my very first guest. And I want to again say thank you. But Barrie, I'd like for you to say a couple words about what you would like people all over the world to know about Comfort Cases.
That we care, that we love, that we support, that we empower, that we're here, we're family. We're here to help. We're here to guide. We're here to engage. And please email me, bcarr@comfortcases.org. I will tell you how you could get involved from your home, from your state, everywhere. So I love you all, and I appreciate everything that everyone has done for us. We are beyond grateful.
Well, Barrie, we love you too, and we absolutely love the Comfort Cases family. And we need to continue this mission, and that means continuing this podcast. So let's say what our takeaway is for today, because every single episode, we need to make sure we have a takeaway. Number 1, share. Share this podcast like you've never shared it before. Number 2, leave us a review. Leave us a review. Some of you are not going to like what we're going to say this season. I still want to hear from you. Constructive criticism is the best criticism you can ever give anyone. Number 3, find out how you can be part of the change. Be a part of the change. Follow comfortcases.org. If you know somebody out there that could be a sponsor for Fostering Change, or maybe somebody that wants to donate to our organization, Comfort Cases is just not about eliminating the trash bag for children in the system. Comfort Cases is about bringing the community together, as my friend said, to engage. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening to our very first episode of season 2 of Fostering Change. I look forward to talking to all of you every Tuesday. And again, be part of the change and continue to be a good human. Take care. I would like to thank all of you for listening to the Fostering Change podcast. You can subscribe on all of your favorite podcast streaming platforms, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Make sure you follow Comfort Cases on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter at Comfort Cases. Check out the Fostering Change blog at comfortcases.org. And I know some of you have a question, and I know some of you would love to be a guest. Please personally reach out to me at fosteringchange@comfortcases.org. That's fosteringchange@comfortcases.org. Then do me a big favor. Please help spread the word. Share this podcast. Share it with your friends and your family. Remember, I say this quite often, We're all part of the same community, and that community, it's not our zip code, but our human race. Let's all make a difference.